Hello, dear viewers. Welcome back to another episode of Hyde Street, a comic series that you can compare to a TV show like Black Mirror, The Outer Limits, and The Twilight Zone. This is issue number 2 from Image Comics and Ghost Machine. Yes, we're gonna do another Hyde Street. The first one was a banger, this one too. And yeah, you can compare this to all these TV shows, and because the narrative is like that, and yeah, it feels, personal hell and all that stuff with a twist. Really like it. Um, Great cover, by the way, by Ivan Reis after Rockwell. Probably there's some kind of infamous or famous, probably, setting. I'm not familiar with Rockwell. Or probably you can tell me in the comments below. So yeah, this was Mr. X-Ray, who was in the first issue, and then we met with Pranky. So this is Pip Pranky Peabody. He joined the what's this called, scouting team, and he's being instead of being he's looking for comfort and belonging, but he's being ridiculed by his teacher, I guess, and all the other boys, and they talk about his dad. He was an army vet. He lost his arm, and they are calling him a freak, right? And then somehow Pip here wandered into Hyde Street, where he is now. I believe Hyde Street is some kind of a hell for people, right? And basically this is origin, if you will. Right? Because he's now spending an eternity, and he's trapping other souls that are wandering on Hyde Street. Anyway, so so it starts really good. He says he may not know how to tie a knot, because that's why he's being ridiculed, right? Because he cannot even tie. So therefore, he cannot get a badge, and the badge is very important to Pip, right? And so he's getting revenge. So he's get a badge about starting a fire, right? Because he's a natural, and then he's getting a badge for beers, right? And paddle a canoe. And then when the cops came, because he's been beaten up by his dad, they say, "Those bastards on Okinawa took your father's arm off with nothing but a pocket knife. Your old man's a war hero. You best stay out of trouble with your teacher's son, then he won't get so riled up next time. How about you joining the Scouts? Might show you some discipline." Yeah, now that's a fine idea. Why don't you go in there and apologize to your pop for getting him so mad? And keep an eye on that eye, huh? Right. Poor Pip. So, next day in school, this teacher is going to say, "Hey, we're going to dissect a pig today." So Pip says, "Is that a baby pig, Mr. Dewey?" "Yeah, well, it's a fetal pig." "Why are we dissecting a young pig instead of an old one that died naturally? Are you as dumb as your clanmates claim, Mr. Peabody? Can you imagine trying to drag 23 adult pig rooms into the classroom? These little ones are uncontrollable." So he explains that pigs and their anatomy or organs is similar to humans. And that's why, they do this basically, right? So because humans and pigs aren't so different. Yeah, Pip doesn't like that, right? And then we go to the present, where he is sipping some. It's not a smoothie. Sorbet? Is that how you say it? Milkshake? In this 50s ice cream salon, right? So, and the narrative says, "Step right up to Hyde Street, where today you find Pip Pranky Peabody among its nefarious citizens. Now I can speak to the specific circumstances that brought him to Hyde Street. That is a story he kept close. But like the rest of us who narrowly escaped the jaws of devourment, the scorekeeper gave this scout an offer he couldn't refuse. So Pranky found himself trapped in a prison of his own making, though of course the boy doesn't see it that way." All right, so there's a cop coming in. The art looks phenomenal. Ivan Reis, he's a star, man. He is incredible. Really like his art. You probably know him from the Green Lantern series from, many years ago. And other comics as well. Among Ghost. I mean, Ghost was, I believe, his starting point around that. Not entirely sure. Anyway, so the officer says, hey, I haven't been here before. When I was younger, I was, go to one like this when I was a kid. Butts, it was called. Well, that's funny. That's my name, says the ice cream man. So he's sitting down, right? And he says, hey, what can I get you? Chocolate malt, egg cream? How about a Blacko? Let's live a little. All right. Here sits Officer Hank Downs, a man who believes power equals respect, though he soon learned there is always a higher authority to answer to. So Pip says, I don't like policemen. You say something, kid? Who, me? Yeah, you. Shouldn't you be in school right now? I'm 11 years old, you dumb flatfoot. What do you think? So he's been picked up, and he says, I've never been in a police car before, right? And so the cop says, you won't like what I have to say to your teachers, kid. Well, of course, he says, I'm tell like what I have to say, even less. And he says, what about your mother and father? And he says, couldn't pick her out of a lineup if I tried, and my pup, if he's lucky, remember what century he's in, let alone his own name. Teachers them nothing. All right. So the cop says, hey, you need to learn to play nice with people in charge. He says, why would I do that? He says, we make the rules. We decide what's right, and we keep things in line. And he says, I don't see it that way. And then how do you see it that way? He says, you're all trying to control us, but I don't make grown-up rules. I make my own. Believe me, officer, you won't like them. Don't test my patience, kid. Respect the badge, he says. Right? But then Pip says, hey, there is something in the trunk. I hear someone, right? I need to the hospital. Who put you in there? So he stops, so he goes outside, right? And there's a voice, the baby's coming. But then nothing's in there. The cop doesn't like that. He doesn't know what to do. So he goes back. And he says, so what was it? Wasn't anything, kid. Yo, it was. See, officer, I can hear ghosts plain as day, and I can make you hear them too. So he's buckling up, right? And as I can see them, which is a whole lot scarier, would you like to see them, officer? And he's ramming another car. And then there's a blackout, right? So when he wakes up, Pip is gone, right? So he's going outside to the car, and there's a pregnant woman behind the wheel. And she says, my baby. Pip says she was 9 months pregnant. You could call it in, confess you hit her. The ambulance would have gotten here in time to save her and the kid. His name would have been Justin, but you didn't call for help because you were following this woman. You meant to hit her. She was the one that got away, the one you could pick you out of a lineup. And she recognizes the cop. And then he shuts her up. You were so boring and predictable. So the Mad Butchers of Kingsbury Run, the Connecticut River Valley Killer, so many other. Now you, the South Haven Strangler. So the cop is a murderer. And Pip calls him out, right? And unidentified and uncaught. Until you made the mistake of taking a turn into Hyde Street, he says. So he's basically belittling him and calling him out, right? And he's calling him boring and cliche, right? And he's also said, hey, mommy slapped you around the wedding, the bed. Daddy Ned showed up to the play schools or schools plays. You're run of the mill. And then the cop grabs Pip and strangles him. And he says, you're right, son. I'm the South Haven Strangler. And Pip is dead. Next up, he's here in this cabin in the woods with a shovel. And he's whistling, right? Preparing. And then he hears the sound, Officer Hank Downs. Sorry, officer. I forgot to mention I already called them about your mother's old cabin. I told them everything you've done. Come out with your hands up. It's over, Downs. You could go out here and confess. Of course, that will means a trial. And facing all those victims, friends, and family. Boy, they will be angry. And there's another way out, something that only folks like you should consider. My father never taught me, so I had to teach myself. This one will help you out of the mess you've made. It's creepy as fuck. It's my favorite knot. All you have to do is slip it on. I'll do the rest. So he shoots them, of course. He unloads them, but doesn't help. A gun works too. Though if it's my hand, you won't be taking another life. Or are you going to kill again? So he takes his own life, and Pip laughs. And then he gets the badge. Another badge, right? And so, yeah, he's back at the ice cream shop. Not sure how you say that. And he wants to order another one. And then he screams at the ice cream man at the counter. But then something happens to him, right? And he's been transported away and he doesn't want to leave Hyde Street. And then he is here with the scorekeeper. And the scorekeeper is, here, keeping scores, but also, there's a Christmas tree in front of him. He says, hey, what am I doing here? I continue to read complaints about you, young man. I don't like folks telling me what to do, scorekeeper. As much I admire your initiative, the man in the X-ray glasses has already encountered Officer Downs before you. Once again, you delivered a soul to me that wasn't yours to claim. But Billy, is going against authority, right? Because he doesn't like what people tell him to do. So he says, hey, what do you care, right? There is rules. And he is upholding the rules according to the contract. Deliver 10,000 souls and I can choose to leave Hyde Street. Keyword is being choose, right? But he doesn't want to leave Hyde Street, because he can now do whatever he wants. So then why I get the badge? Tell me that, he says. What should it matter to you how these bad guys to get to you anyway? And please, mister, enough with the serial killers. They're too easy. He says, Mr. Peabody, you are meddling in something far greater than your understanding permits. A delicate balance has been crafted, an ecosystem of order and intention. So basically he's threatening him, right? Persists, and you may jeopardize the very goal I've set in motion. I don't get any of that, he says. Let me make it clear, young man. You could be making peace with Mr. X-ray at my insistence. After all, it is Christmas time. And then we see Mr. X here. Yes, Christmas time, the season for forgiveness and goodwill towards your fellow man. Unless, of course, you happen to find yourself on Hyde Street. Yes, I like this very much. So we're going to do another issue, if I can get them soon, I hope. And then we're going to continue with this, crazy book. I really like them. Oh, yeah, by the way, if you want to know more about Pranky Peabody, you can pause the video and you can read also frightening fact. Pranky damned his teacher, Mr. Dewey, by tricking him into dissecting his own body. Oh, man, that's crazy. This is a very fun book. This is exactly what I need in my collection, if you can call it a collection. More great stuff from Image Comics and Ghost Machine. Really like that. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Would you like to, purchase this book, read this book, or are you already read it? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.